All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me here for today's Produce Spotlight class. My name is Charlotte Chive, and I'm one of the Giant Cubby dietitians. So today, the topic that we're going to be featuring is zucchini. So definitely we're in the season now where you might have like an abundance of zucchini, and that's our class theme for the series for this month is how to stretch summer produce. So zucchini is definitely one that don't know if you have any family or friends, but if you're growing zucchini, they might be giving you zucchini. So today's class is going to be featuring a variety of ways to use zucchini, and if you have a lot of it, how to use it. All right, so we talked a little bit about stretching summer produce. So you can see here on the left-hand side, I have a variety of summer produce that may be in abundance for you. So things like tomatoes and corn, peaches. I know around where I live, there's a ton of peaches, but it makes this season very exciting as well. But summer definitely delivers a fresh feast of different types of produce. So zucchini, which we're talking about today, summer squash, tomatoes, corn, cucumbers, berry, peaches, just to name a few. And what's really nice is that locally grown and harvested produce, if it's harvested that day, definitely provides a superior flavor and nutrient density, which I always appreciate, as I'm sure you do too. So there's a variety of different ways to use all of this summer produce. You can preserve it. So freezing is definitely common, especially with things like corn. You can even do berries, pickling. I don't know if any of you have done pickling before, but cucumbers, onions, and beans can definitely be pickled. And then jam, if you're making jams, you can incorporate all the berries and plums and peaches that you may get, or even with herbs, if any of you are growing herbs, get herbs, you can always dry them for to use in the future months. Salads, wraps, and kebabs are a wonderful way to use all of this produce. Roasting is one of my favorites, or even grilling it, because it really brings out that sweetness, especially with vegetables. Brings out that sweetness with them with roasting. Soups and stews are a great way, especially if you're freezing something and want to use it for later use. Soups and stews, you can always even make the soup in the summertime and then freeze it for later use, or use the frozen corn. If you freeze corn now, you can use it to make soup in the winter months, which is nice. Also, one thing I want to mention, if you have ever made a smoothie pack, so what this means is that you make the smoothie now, and then you can put it in there's different types of like smoothie trays, or you can even do like an ice tray as well, but you freeze it into like little cubes, so then you can use it for future use as well. So you can kind of pull it out in the morning and use it. It's just an easy way to get a smoothie, but you can always make those as well. So again, this, especially in the summer months, we always want to find different ways to stretch our summer produce. Definitely don't want to throw it out at all, because it's really packed with flavor and then nutrient density as well. Okay, so let's focus on zucchini. So we're going to do a couple of true or false questions to test your knowledge about zucchini. So let me pull up this poll. So our first true or false question with zucchini is, it is technically a fruit. So let me pull this up. All right, so you can go ahead and answer that. So for zucchini, true or false, zucchini are technically a fruit. So true or false? Give everybody a couple seconds to answer that. All right, let's see what you said. So it looks like a lot of you said true, but then some of you also said false. So let's see what the answer is. So it is technically a fruit, botanically. So this is because it grows from a flower and has seeds on the inside. Why it's technically a fruit, but zucchini is always used as a vegetable in a variety of different dishes and in cooking. So things like stir fries, casserole, grilled dishes, a lot of savory recipes and dishes. So it's used as a vegetable, but it is technically a fruit. Okay, our next one. Zucchini, good source of vitamin C. All right. Let me see if I can launch this again. All right, I don't know if it's allowing me to launch this again. So we'll just think about it. Instead of doing a poll, we can just give everybody a couple seconds to think about it, if it's a good source or not. So of course, with like a lot of different produce items, this is true. So it's definitely a good source of vitamin C. So we'll go over a little bit about the nutrition in a couple slides, but good source of vitamin C, which we know is beneficial for our immune health and just to name a few. All right, and our last one, a zucchini can be green, yellow, red, or purple. Just give everybody a couple seconds because my poll it's not working very well, but so we'll think about that. All right, so this answer is false. So a zucchini, oops, well, so a zucchini, and actually this is in this slide anyways. So a zucchini is not red or purple, but it does come in a variety of colors, which we'll go over in just a little bit. So I just wanted to mention, if you'd like to celebrate food holidays, August 8th is National Zucchini Day. So if you have a excess of zucchini, definitely come up with a recipe to celebrate it on August 8th. So again, National Zucchini Day. So zucchini is a variety of summer squash. The colors that it comes in, so not so much red or purple, but it does come in green, yellow, white, or even striped varieties. But the peak season, definitely now, so July through September, zucchini really thrive in warm weather and they absolutely love the sunlight, for which is a reason why we're getting a lot of zucchini this time of year. So it grows on a bushy plant close to the ground. So if one plant, you may get 15 or even more zucchini from one plant. I always hear this too, especially in like a home garden. People just don't know what to do with zucchini, but definitely this time of year, love the warm weather and they love the sunlight. So they're definitely growing a lot. So some nutrition facts that I wanted to mention, of course, with any type of produce item, always great to incorporate it into our diets. So some nutrition facts. So 1 cup of zucchini, 27 calories, good source of vitamin A, so healthy vision, which we know is beneficial for healthy vision. So for 1 cup is about 11% of our daily value that we need in a day. Vitamin C, which we mentioned, good source of beneficial for the immune system. So 26% of the daily value per cup. Also good source of manganese. So we know that manganese is important for brain and nerve function, calcium absorption, blood sugar regulation. So 14% of the daily value. Also potassium. So potassium may help to reduce blood pressure, prevent kidney stones. So 1 cup of zucchini gives us 10% of our daily value. Also, it's really packed with antioxidants. So it has carotenoids, which are plant compounds that have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. So things like lutein, zeaxanthin, and beta carotene. And research has shown that the skin of a zucchini has the highest level of antioxidants. So of course you can get rid of the skin if you want to, but if you don't have to, definitely try to use it in different recipes because it has the highest level of antioxidants. So a lot of different nutritional benefits of zucchini. So how to use zucchini, and actually one thing I wanted to mention too, when you are in store or at a farmer's market or wherever you are to get zucchini, or even in your garden if you're growing it, and we always want to keep in mind with zucchinis, you can see I have a zucchini right here. We definitely want that green color. So like a dark green color. We don't want any type of cuts or indentations or anything. I mean, for the most part, you can have a little bit is okay, but definitely want a good color, no cuts or cracks or anything in it, and don't want it to be bruised or brown or anything like that. So definitely keep that in mind when you are going to the store and looking at zucchini. But ways on how to use it, we can always incorporate into zucchini bread. I know where I live, zucchini bread is pretty popular, but grated zucchini actually adds moisture and texture to the bread. So it's always a great idea to kind of incorporate it into bread if you can. Helps it to give that moisture, especially if you're trying to, if you want to like decrease maybe butter or fat content in it. You can always add the zucchini for the moisture. You can make zucchini muffins, great way to sneak in some extra veggies, especially if you have little kids. Zucchini pancakes have become popular, so you can mix them into a pancake batter for a nutritious twist on pancakes. You can make fritters, which I think on our savory recipe database, we do have a fritter recipe for zucchini, but you're going to combine zucchini with eggs, flour, some seasoning, and make zucchini fritters. You can fry them until they're crispy and then serve with a dipping sauce, which I always love. And then zucchini soup, which I have a recipe and a couple slides on. Of course, if you make that this time of year, you can freeze it for using later. But zucchini soup, so this zucchini, of course, adds some texture and subtle flavor to soups. And also you can do a zucchini pasta sauce. So blend zucchini into a smooth sauce. You can add some tomatoes and garlic and herbs for homemade pasta sauce. We mentioned stir fries before, even a curry adds texture and nutrients. You can always incorporate it into a casserole. So you can like layer it into lasagna, which I've done, which is really good. I like the texture of it and lasagna, or even baked ziti for some added flavor. You can always do chips if you're trying to, if you like potato chips, want something a little bit different, you can slice thawed zucchini, thinly. You can season with your favorite spices and bake or air fry them until they're a little bit crispy, which is nice. And you can, which I don't know if this might be appealing to those or maybe not, but you can always add them into a smoothie. Zucchini has a very neutral flavor, so it blends really well with different types of fruit, because of course the fruit's going to add a little bit more sweetness, but you can always add it into a smoothie is another way to use it. So you can see here, these are just a few of the many different ways you can use zucchini. So if you have an abundance of it, think of these ways to use it. So these are some zucchini pairings, which I always like to go over with any type of produce item, thinking about ways to use zucchini, especially when it comes to like stir fries and everything, kind of what vegetables pair well with it. But for protein, seafood goes really well with zucchini, some bacon or pork. If we're thinking about fruits, we mentioned like banana and blueberry in a smoothie, or like kiwi, papaya, peach, raspberry, even guava. And vegetables will go really well with a stir fry. So Brussels sprouts, cucumber, and corn, which is really plentiful this time of year. Some eggplant, mushroom, radish, sweet potato, turnip. Thinking of herbs and spices, some basil, coriander, and tarragon, and then nuts and seeds, almond, cashew, and pine nuts. So a variety of different ways to really increase that flavor profile of recipes with zucchini. And these are some zucchini products at Giant and Martin's. So of course we have our already cut up frozen sliced zucchini. You can always keep this in the freezer for a while and pull it out as you need it. We also have veggie spirals, the zucchini, which is nice, especially if you want to possibly make some type of like, I don't know, like spaghetti. If you want to like substitute for, instead of doing a whole wheat spaghetti noodle, you can do like the zucchini or zoodles. And of course, we have our fresh zucchini as well. So in terms of recipes, so for those of you who have not seen Savory before, so this is our Savory, most recent Savory magazine, which you can get in store, normally in the front of the store, which comes out, usually goes pretty fast, but you can also view it online, which is nice. And Savory has a variety of different recipes. So if you're trying to, stuck in like a recipe rut or need something different, definitely go on the Savory magazine website, which is really nice. So the first one is kind of unique. It is a zucchini butter. So it does get one guiding star, which is our nutritional navigation program. More stars that a recipe has, the more nutritionally beneficial it is, more vitamins, minerals, fiber, healthy fats. So this one gets one guiding star. So all this is 2.5 pounds of zucchini. So you can really use up extra zucchini if you're looking for ways to use it up. So zucchini, some butter, garlic, red pepper, and of course, blending that, and you can spread it over some bread, which would be super delicious. And a nice kind of appetizer too, if you want to use it that way. So this is a zucchini butter recipe. We also have a caramelized zucchini and onion recipe. So some zucchini, onion, olive oil, the pasta, garlic, and then Parmesan. Very easy way to incorporate zucchini, but does get two guiding stars. Also has 15 grams of protein, 5 grams of fiber, so help you feel fuller longer. Another idea on ways to use zucchini. And then this is the stew that I was talking about. I think I made this in class a while ago, but it was very, very delicious. And I actually I did freeze some of it, and it tasted really fresh and nice later on when I used it. But this one gets 3 guiding stars, has almost 7 grams of fiber, which is nice. So this is just olive oil, eggplant, and onions. We talked about eggplant being a good pairing with zucchini, some garlic, which of course goes well with anything, some thyme leaves, bell peppers, tomatoes, red wine vinegar, which we'll be using red wine vinegar on our recipe today, 2 pounds of zucchini. So again, if you're looking to use up zucchini, this is a wonderful recipe to use up zucchini. Some basil leaves, which we mentioned was a good pairing, and then you can of course use a baguette or some type of bread with it. But if you're looking for a super stew recipe, definitely try this one. This one was really, really good. But it does get 3 guiding stars, so a lot of different nutritional benefits with it. All right, moving right along. This is our featured recipe of what we're going to be making today. So this is a zucchini and millet salad with chive vinaigrette. Now I will say that millet can be somewhat hard to find in store. So what I did for today is I substituted for quinoa. And quinoa I like because it is a complete protein. It has a little bit more protein and fiber in it. So we're going to be using quinoa today. But in terms of cooking the quinoa or even millet, I did what did I? So I did 1.5 cups of quinoa, and did about, I think, not 3 cups, almost 4 cups of water. So I did cook it before class simmered it for about 15 minutes. So I have that in my bowl right here. So I did decide to use quinoa because it is a nice substitute for millet, just because millet can be a little bit hard to find in store. So then the water is what I use to cook it. A little bit of, so we're going to be in our blender incorporating some salt and red wine vinegar, chives, the grainy Dijon mustard, and a pinch of sugar and olive oil. And then we're going to be grating up our zucchinis. And so we're going to be mixing together the quinoa, the grated zucchini, and then this vinaigrette mixture. But for this one, gets about 8 grams of protein, and it's probably more protein since we're substituting for quinoa, but also gets almost about like six grams of fiber, which is nice. But this makes for a wonderful side dish, especially for the summertime if you're, trying to think of ways to use up your zucchini. So that is what we're going to be making today, and it does get 3 guiding stars, which is very nice. All right, so let me stop sharing my screen and we will get started with the recipe. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So you can see here I have, so when I cooked about 1.5 cups of quinoa dry, it makes normally almost like 4 cups of quinoa, or even kind of the same thing with the millet. So you can see I have here my quinoa. So I did already obviously cook it, but I did cool it down a little bit just because it's just better when I think, well, with salad when it cools down a little bit. So I'm just fluffing this a little bit. I'm going to set that to the side. So the first thing I'm going to do, so this recipe calls for grated zucchini. So this is, so 2 zucchinis grated. So I'm just going to take the very ends off, and I have my grater right there. So you can see right here, and it has a bunch of different sizes, but the recipe suggests using kind of the biggest one, with the biggest holes. So let me take out this 2 ends. I'm just going to grate this. And the recipe suggests if you want, after you grate the zucchini, you can press it down to get out the extra moisture, but you don't necessarily have to. But if you wanted to do that, you can. All right, here we go. So again, I'm just grating 2 large zucchinis. And after I grate this, we're going to put it on the quinoa and then make our vinaigrette. The crust harder. All right, so this is looking good. I think even if you don't want to grate the zucchini, if you want to cut it up even into like um, smaller pieces, you can do that too. And actually, while I do the other one, I'm going to check out some of the Q&A. All right, I'm just going to set that to the side and do the other one. Let me check. Okay. So let me do this one. Actually, before I do this one, what I'm going to do is put this directly into my bowl. So again, this is about 4 cups of quinoa, which again gives us a little bit more protein and fiber than the millet. But if you're able to find the millet, you can always add that as well. All right, so I'm just going to put this in our bowl. We'll put this back on. And we'll do the other one. And so in our vinaigrette that we're making, and we're going to be putting in the blender, we're going to be putting in some red wine vinegar, some olive oil, that grainy Dijon mustard, a pinch of sugar, the chives, and did I miss anything? I think that's it. So we'll blend that up after I do this. So almost there. Good. Think. All right. All right, so I'll show you this in the bowl. So that's definitely plenty of zucchini. As you can see here, some grated zucchini. And again, if you want to get out the extra moisture, you can always pat it down with a paper towel. So next time we're going to be making the vinaigrette for this, a delicious salad. So let me move this to the side. I'm actually going to chop up my chives. So this is about like a half of a cup for chives. So let me cut these up. Let me actually get my half cup. This should be more than enough. Yep, so it looks good. I'm going to put this in my blender. All right, we're also going to do a fourth of a cup of red wine vinegar, which I think I've said in many classes. I love a good vinegar and in a lot of different salad recipes. So for this one, fourth of a cup. All right, so fourth a cup of red wine vinegar. So we're also going to do 1.5 tablespoons. This is Grey Poupon mustard, so it's kind of like a grainy Dijon mustard. So let me just double check that is right. Yes, 1.5 tablespoons. Need to get a spoon to get it out. So again, 1.5 tablespoons. That's good. All right. I'm going to do a pinch of sugar. And then our olive oil. Let me just make sure I have all my ingredients. Okay, so we're also going to do a fourth of a cup. Yes, fourth of a cup of olive oil. All right. Add this in. All right, so go ahead and I'm gonna blend this. Let me just turn my sound down in the meantime. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Let me just double check. Oh, it certainly smells really good. And I think I might, oh, I know what I'm going to do. A little bit of a teaspoon of salt. I think I forgot to add in. I'm trying to get this. Let's see, where did I put? Yeah, just look at this. Let me do a teaspoon. A teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna blend it one more time. All right, so that should be pretty good. Before I add on the dressing, move some stuff to the side. I'm gonna bring back so quinoa and zucchini. I'm just gonna give this a good mix before I put on this dressing, which smells super delicious. I love chives and a good vinegar and a good mustard. All right, so that looks pretty well mixed. And all you're gonna do is just pour your vinegar, so you can see that or not. This is our chive vinaigrette. So we're just put this right over it and then give it a good mix. Get my spoon, get this extra out. So we'll just mix this up. And I think if you leave this in the refrigerator, like for a couple hours or overnight, the flavors will definitely combine even more. All right. So this is our zucchini, and because the recipe is millet, but it's quinoa. So zucchini and quinoa salad with a chive vinaigrette. So perfect for the summertime, perfect way to stretch that summer produce of zucchini. So here's our salad. And definitely, again, flavors will definitely combine even more and be more flavorful if you put in the refrigerator for a couple hours or overnight. All right.